Hey everyone, welcome to a new edition of the Saltwater Edge podcast. There may be some voices you don't recognize on here. We're leaving Peter at home today and talking with the crew here, the regular staff and crew here at the Saltwater Edge. I've got Chris Secor, John McDowell, Kobe Goodrich, Cyril
To be.
and Tyler Richmond. And so we thought it would be fun. We're kind of coming to the close of the season. Most of us are still fishing a little bit, but the season's winding down, and we thought it would be fun to just have a conversation about the products that either were new to the shop this year or that we used for the first time this year as we're wrapping up the season. So yeah, I mean, I thought it's a good time to have a conversation and get everyone involved and maybe highlight some of the people that we normally don't get to see here at Saltwater Edge. I think maybe we'll take it away on the other side of the table. Start out with Tyler.
Tyler, start us off.
All right. I guess we'll go in sort of chronological order as far as the seasons go.
And Tyler, I think you're mostly fishing from a kayak, right?
Yeah, almost 100% kayak, although less this year than usual. Working here and have friends with boats has ruined my kayak fishing a little bit, but not completely. So the first one for me was the spoons, the big Nichols Magnum Spoons. Not new to most people, but it was new to me. I sort of piled on the train, you could say, with everybody else getting on these this spring. Especially this year in particular, a lot of the bass were hanging out deep when they came in. They were in the channels in the bay, 45 feet of water, 35 feet of water. So having something heavy and getting down to them was really good. That was definitely the ticket for the first probably month of the season, maybe even longer than that. The bite was almost exclusively live pokies and big spoons, so it was a good thing to have. I guess
I use those a lot.
Yeah, a lot of,
and it's so funny out in the bay too. Like I fish mostly in the spring, like mid to upper Narragansett Bay. And there's just a spoon fleet now. Yep. And it's so funny to see the guys, and it's like you can tell because of the like reflections coming off the boats and stuff. It's like, yeah, guys just like cranking these things up, and a lot of times cracking them up with a fish so they work. Yeah, it was one of those things it's kind of tough to avoid using these days.
Yeah, you gotta have one.
Give us a quick little thing on how you fish in Prairie. Somebody might not, like myself.
I don't know if I'm the best example just because I mean, it was my first year using them, but I think just big, long sweeps. And like Eric said, you see literally hundreds of boats using them, so you kind of get an idea. But big stout rod, big, long sweeps, let it sort of flutter back down. I don't fish them actually like hitting bottom. I think usually it's either mid-water column or, you crank up a couple of feet off bottom and then sort of pound that spot. But I did a little bit of like ripping around, casting it and sort of ripping it back, and that I caught a couple fish doing that. So I think you can do that too. You could probably troll them. They seem pretty diverse. It's just a big spoon. Spoons have been around.
I don't jig them at all.
Really?
I drop and then like speed them back up to the surface and then drop again. So I don't do like any of like the sweeping jigging. And I found that like, when your drop is over, like when the thing stops moving, you're either on the bottom or in a fish. And so as soon as it stops moving, you just like give it a quick jerk. And then I caught a lot like kind of speeding it up to the surface too, just like cranking it up to the surface. So I didn't do a lot of that like sweeping jigging, just kind of like up and down, like slow down, fast up.
So it'll take us away to the next one.
All right, so my first product, I went with the 24/7 Needlefish, specifically the 9-incher. My favorite color is a squibby eel, which we have over here. And for me, that's really just a big profile. You can cast far, and it's got a slow sink rate, so you can really fish it anywhere. The big thing is just having that big profile. There's not much action to it.
And Cyril, you're mostly fishing in...
Tell us exactly where you're
what the GPS?
What are the coordinates where you're going?
On the surf, yeah.
Yep. You can fish them anywhere, though.
Yeah. And 24/7, not new to the market, but we've been a couple seasons where we haven't had them in the shop here, so it's kind of like a return to 24/7 here. And that first run sold out like
yeah.
immediately, and then we've been restocking pretty frequently, which has been great.
And it's a great value in what you're getting.
Yeah,
With the
Yeah.
plug.
and consistency. I mean, the consistency on those plugs are crazy.
He has a whole line. Every one of them catches fish.
Personally, I run a 4.0 VMC on the belly, cut the hook and just bend it on there, put it on. And I'll run a VMC O'Shaughnessy 7.0 on the back with some just bucktail on it.
They're also supplying us now with this very nice bucktail. We finally have a consistent, good bucktail plug.
And I think for everyone listening rather than watching, what kind of bucktail you're talking about? The kind you fish with, or the kind?
Yes, good point, good point. This is the one straight off the deer's butt. It's got a ton of hair.
Great.
Yeah, hopefully not straight off. He does a little something in
No,
between, right?
yeah, they're very good at prepping them, dyeing them, drying them. They dry them over, I think they said about a month, and it's just the hair comes out a lot better than some of the stuff you get online. It's nice because you can blind. All of it is really nice. You can blind order it on the website, and you're not going to get one of those tiny little ones you get from some of the big distributors. They come in a bunch of good colors, a lot of good hair on them. There's two different kinds. They're the standard. All the hair is about 4 inches, a little shorter. Still tons of hair. And then the premium is 4 inches and over. And just a ton of hair on every bucktail. We're really happy with it.
That's something we've kind of been struggling with over the past 2 seasons, I would say, is like getting quality bucktail, particularly white bucktails.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah,
it's
a lot
nice
of
to have
shops.
like a good supply. I mean, sometimes you get a box from one of the major suppliers, and it's like embarrassing selling it to people.
A lot of bands use
Mostly
tails.
brown.
Right? It's
Are
like
they
you're like, oh my,
different?
like you go to package it up or something, ship it to someone, and you're like, God, I just can't send it to someone. We got a pile here. That
Yeah, we do end up
tails we
swapping
can't
some of
sell.
those out.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's cool to have that consistent supply of good bucktails.
Yeah.
And I think he's like, correct me if I'm wrong, but price-wise, close to what, like,
Yeah, this-
for way better quality, close to what the wholesale guys are doing.
Yeah. It's only like a couple bucks more.
Yeah.
Way worth it. You get so much hair. The hair's way better. Take us away, John.
Speaking of nice hair,
We got
I
John
got a
here.
couple things. I've got the NLBN K-tail. This is a 5-inch on one of the half-ounce tin jig heads. I would just kind of cast this out and bird it in. And I haven't caught a ton of fish on it, but I have caught when I wouldn't really expect to. Like there was a handful of times when I was fishing a spot with a lot of current, and they're usually feeding when there's current. And once it backed off, I was like going through my plug bag, just trying everything, and nothing was really working. And I'd put on a K-tail, and in like the first hit or the first cast or two, I'd pick up a fish and shake off the skunk. I've also got the
Before you go on, talk to me a little bit about the tin jig head, because I know Dennis Sambrot has written about that. I think we got a blog post about the tin jig head and why he likes it so much, but I haven't fished it. What do you like about the tin?
I just picked it up because it was the only one that was like half an ounce. All the other like 5-inch jig heads basically start at 3/4, and I just wanted something a little lighter, so that's the option I went with. I don't think it really had anything to do with it being tin and not lead, but it was just like the weight that we had that I wanted.
Nice.
Next is the Yozuri. Oh gosh, I'm blanking on it.
Gosh. I think that one's been on everyone's list this year.
Yeah. I was fishing the double white. I'm pretty sure Cyril picked this off the shelf first, and I just followed suit.
We all did. Yeah. So I think Cyril came back one day and I was like, everyone needs to get this. Like, this is.
But yeah, for the Bonito, this was like the hot ticket for me. It really seemed like it was just like a swimming minnow season for him. I started out throwing the Albie snack and just was only getting short hits, and then switched over to this and they're hitting the back hook. There were a handful of times where I took off the belly hook just because like the Bonito were in so thick, and the sooner you can get it off the plug, the sooner you can cast back out, catch another. And also around the same time, I picked up a couple surface erasers for like a pretty similar reason, just because it was like a profile similar to Albie Snack, but had a hook in the rear, so they would get hooked up and not just be biting the plastic.
And you're pretty well known for fishing the jetties, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Pretty
I got in.
Yeah, a little kayak action.
Little
yeah.
kayak here
Yeah,
and
you
there,
got on a couple boats this year too.
Yeah.
But I know there was some days when you first started here this season that you were coming in directly from the jetty.
Oh yeah. This season, I really like made more of an effort to wake up really early and like get out on the jetty when the crew that is out there gets out there, which was different. I'm used to like staying up late and like fishing the surf, and I'm not really much of a morning person, but like to get on Benito's, pretty good incentive to get up early. But yeah, that was this year. I definitely put in like a lot more time on that like first light bite, and that's a lot of times that's when it would happen. On Friday the 13th, I had like 7 bonito before the sun had like broke the horizon, and everyone was bailing them, and they were like jumping all over the place. It was a really fun morning.
jetty, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth noting that both the first 2 lures you picked, the K-tail and the Magnum, are great matches for the mullet we were seeing earlier this fall.
Oh yeah.
I think a little sea herring too, right?
Yeah.
We had like that little run of sea herring, and I saw a couple, and I was like, damn, that double white is like a good sea herring imitation.
Yeah.
Yeah, those first bones that showed up around mid-July, they were on the big sea herring. Well, not big, but 5-6 inch sea herring, big for a bonito bait. And it was awesome. They would just hit 5-6 inch swimming plugs and soft plastics, whatever you wanted to throw at them.
It didn't really matter like what color it was when they were like really chewing. Like I was out on the jetty one morning, and like every variation of Yozuri was being thrown, and like they were hitting them.
But kind of interesting this year. Like most years, it's like Albie Snacks, Deadly Dicks, and stuff. And this year, I don't know if it was because we didn't have Albies and just Bonitos, but like the swimming plugs were kind of the ticket for hardtails this year.
Yeah.
Whereas most years I'm like only fishing Albie Snacks and like Deadly Dicks and epoxy jigs. I was like, throwing the small mag minnow and stuff like that rather than the, Yozuri crystal minnow. I know a lot of guys were fishing like the little X wraps and stuff. But that was kind of a change for me this year.
Yeah, the bonito didn't seem to be as picky.
Yeah.
I'm curious whether I plan on testing it out on the Albies next year, seeing whether it's effective.
They're coming back.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see.
We did see a big polarity shift too. People, once they're starting to hear that the epoxy jig snack bite wasn't really the ticket, everybody's hearing all the swimming plugs.
Yeah.
Everybody switched right over to the swimming plugs.
Yeah.
And they did just as well as everybody else.
Yeah, the coconut radio goes out pretty fast with that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The little SP minnows too. Those were really good early
Yeah.
in the season for bonito.
Yeah, what do you like, the bubblegum one?
The bubble gum was
Yeah.
good. The I don't know what it's called, but it's got like a navy green back and it's all silver on the side. That one was really good. And on the kayak, I was trolling them around a lot. Early July, every year, I dedicate a little time to trying to find some Farley bonito, and this year they were actually there instead of bluefish. Usually it's bluefish.
And not a lot
So
of
that was
bluefish this year.
Not a lot of bluefish.
Yeah, that was kind of a bummer. I know in the bay we didn't get like a really strong bluefish bite when the water warmed up like we normally do.
Which is usually like clockwork up there.
That's what I mean. Usually they're cruising the shallows. Like that's one of the most fun times of year is just like catching them on the fly rod in the shallows. And yeah, we didn't really get that this year.
Yeah, first couple weeks of May, I usually try and hit the jetties for bluefish. And the first time I went out with like a bag just like full of like pencil poppers and swimmers, all with just like one big hook on the back, fully expecting the blues to be there, and it was just like a total bust. Yeah. I had like one afternoon where it kind of felt like last May, but it was just like that one tide, and that was about it.
think that's the theme of the season was inconsistency. It's like, yeah, you get on a bite and then you come back the next day and it's not there, and you know, prior logs didn't mean much this season.
A lot of trial and error this year.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever had back-to-back good nights.
Right. Yeah. That was the same on the boat for me. It was like, you know, you'd go back to the same spot the next day, and it would just be a ghost town.
Same conditions too.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Still.
It could be a mirror of the day before.
Two tides apart, and it's like a totally different scenario.
A lot of moving around.
Yeah. But that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah.
Not that it wouldn't be great to go back the same day and repeat a great day, but we all want that. Chris, what do you got?
All right, I'll jump in here. I'm going to take a little detour from the tackle and talk about the Nightcore MT2A Pro. It's a neck light. I'm majority in the surf, and aside from wearing a hat, I don't like wearing things on my head, so I don't like headlamps. This is a fully metal light push button toggle, which I used to use the Princeton Tech lights. Great lights, but they are twist, which requires two hands. You might have your hand on a fish, your hand on a rod, whatever. Quick button click and it's on. Fully waterproof. They come with an optional either red, blue, or green filter. I use the red. Can also help to put a little dab of super glue on this if you plan on keeping the filter on. I have two of these, one of which has the red filter always, one of which doesn't. It has a 1600 milliamp hour lithium ion battery or two AA batteries, which, you know, if you want to do that. The lithium battery is rechargeable via USB. So go out for the night, plug it in the next day, you're good to go. No buying 50,000 pack of AA batteries.
Have you swam with that?
I have. It's the only part that opens is the battery compartment, which does have an O-ring underneath. This thing's around my neck when I'm swimming in the water.
Yeah.
It comes with a clip, which I don't use. I just took electrical tape and a piece of paracord and made a lanyard out of it. And I will definitely recommend this light to anybody who wears neck lights or likes neck lights or wants to get away from the headlamps. It's, you know, it's
Kobe
not
like this one too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think you track these bad boys down for the shop, right?
Yeah. They on recommendation from Frank Gonzalez.
Yes.
We got them in the shop and been really, really happy with it. The headlamps, the neck lights. I was using the headlamp again, swimming with it. Super waterproof. The rechargeable thing is nice. I got mine, I think, in July, and I didn't fish much after August from the surf, but July through August, I never charged it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, they last a long
Yeah, I've never needed to charge it. I've just charged it just because I wanted to make sure it was up. And another little neat thing, the battery does have a little indicator light on it, so you know when it's charged.
Nice.
And the battery is from Nightcore also. It's not an off-brand battery. It comes with the USB-C charging cable and lanyard, which is short, so that's why I did my own.
And
Yeah, I do have that. I do have that Princeton Tech one. I do like that one because it has a little dome on it, the little like
Yeah, a little
triangle
map
dome,
light.
which is nice. But yeah, there are times when I'm like struggling to twist it while your
Yeah,
hands
the
are
push button's super nice.
That was the main reason for me to switch, was because I wanted a one-hand operation.
Yep.
And sometimes if I'm swimming in the dark, if I have to swim, I'll just click the red light on and have it on my neck, so I can kind of see what's going on down there. Like,
And I know sometimes I'm holding that Princeton Tech one in my mouth.
Yeah.
And it's a little big.
Yeah.
You know. not comfortable.
what I have thought about doing, for like Eric said, putting it in the mouth, is taking a mouthpiece off a snorkel and taping it on the back and holding it in your mouth.
That's yeah.
Because a lot of times I'm trying to work, get a fish off or whatever, and I'm trying to hold it in my mouth, and the one downside is this is metal and it could hurt your teeth.
I haven't put that much stuff putting stuff in my mouth, but that's a great idea.
The headlamp also has an option to go direct to red, so you don't have to cycle through your white.
Yes, that is the one.
That's nice.
That's a good.
And that's like that was one of the mandatory things here when looking at bringing in a new headlamp. I know we went through like a bunch of them, and it was like, okay, it has to cycle to just red and off,
Yeah.
rather than
Going through
clicking
each
it 100
color.
times or something. That's
String.
the pain. Yeah.
That's the nice part about this one too. If you say you did only have one and you needed the white light, you just pop the filter off.
I'm gonna kind of go in a different direction from tackle too. This year, I really started using these rod sleeves. I'm holding the Jigging World ones. There's a million of them out there. These Jigging World ones are nice because they're pretty cheap. I think they're like $10. But I'm pretty guilty of just absolutely filling my car up throughout the year and like really not taking stuff out, just kind of adding more and more to the trunk, and it gets. I've just kind of started moving stuff back into the garage. But if you have like, 3, 4, 5, 6 rods in your car, they just get all tangled up, and the rod sleeves make it easier. It's one of those things. It's like it's a no-brainer. I think I saw Earl Evans take some rods out of his car one time, and it was just like super smooth, and he had the socks on. I was like, I want that to be my life. And so yeah, I started using that this year, and it has made quite a difference. Just in like, and I use them. I carry them down to the boat in the sleeves, and then you're just not untangling crap. So, not really the most exciting thing in the world, but just something that made my life easier this year.
Easy to get on and off with the guys.
Yeah,
Slow
you keep a lure on it. You keep it doesn't really get caught on anything, and so I just leave them rigged up in the car and ready to go, and yeah, it makes my life way easier. Any of you guys use them?
I haven't.
Yeah,
We're getting it around to.
Yeah, I know. We got to get like I don't even know if they make a surf size one, like a surf rod size one. I guess probably a fly rod one would work for a surf rod.
Yeah, like 9-footer.
Yeah.
Yes. All you gotta do is come down to where the reel is anyway. So.
Yeah. One of the things I've done in the past, more than once, unfortunately, too, is like, I go through like the pass-through section on my car, and you turn on the radio or something with the tip of the rod, and the next time you go to cast, the tip isn't there. And these have like a little nub at the top that lets you know when you're getting close to something and stops you. So it saves a little money in the long run. Cheap insurance against calling Ted Zach for a new rod tip.
Back to Tyler.
I'll go with the Titan Diver hooks next by BKK. Again, I don't know if these are new to the market, but I think they were new to the shop. They were definitely new to me. I use those all spring and early summer when I'm fishing big plastics like big GT eels and the hoagies and all that. Those things, I never bent one out, which I bent out every type of jig head. So I was all in on those once I figured them out.
Yeah.
Calling out the brands there, Tyler.
The only thing about them is the weights will slip off like while you're fighting a big fish, but they're cheap. You can buy them separately, so it's not a big deal. And I really like how you can interchange the weights without having to retie or reclip or something like that. If you have too much weight, you just slip it off, slip a lighter one on, it takes 10 seconds, and it's really easy. So I'm all in on those, big fan. I don't use the blade, the spinner thing, I just throw that in the trash. But the hook itself and the weight, like the interchangeable weight system, is 2 thumbs up.
And if you're using them and you're not going to need to change the weight, you can crimp it on. And they do stay on really well.
Yep.
I'll skip you just to talk about this real quick. So, but I was using them on the Big Joe Bags Block Island deal, I think he calls them. This season, because I didn't want to use a rig deal. I was lazy. And so I rigged
Let's
one of
be
these
honest,
up.
you just don't like fishing live eels.
They're too damn cute.
It's just what everyone thinks.
You gotta not name them
damn
first.
cute.
That's
True,
right.
exactly.
Don't name them first.
I gotta stop naming them.
Cute is not the word.
No, so I've been using these big Block Island eels just to see how they performed against riggies. And rigged them on those because I thought it might give sort of that nice rigged eel motion that rigged eels have. And they worked. It worked really well with that Titan Diver, right? Is the name? Yeah, with that Titan Diver hook Tyler was just talking about.
Titan, just to make sure everyone knows, it's the Titan Diver Plus you guys are talking about. So the Titan Diver is kind of the lighter one that has the weight on it already.
Oh, gotcha.
And it has the little like flutter spoon on the back that everyone takes off. BKK, don't include it. Everyone takes it off.
So correction, the Titan Diver Plus.
Yeah, the Plus is the one with like the interchangeable weights and the little rubber grommets and stuff. I think it's the same, like X strong hook though. I think it's the same wire gauge, just the plus.
It's got the changeable
Yeah.
weights.
Yeah, the hook's been great. And it fished really well with that rigging. It fished in situations when you couldn't get a fish if you were not throwing a rigged eel. I brought this the next trip and was catching the fish again. So it did work. Held up pretty decent, and yeah, overall pretty happy with it. Saved a few nights. The fish, I'm sure people will debate probably with some validity that the rigged eel will still maybe get bigger fish, but you'll still be in the wheelhouse of those fish with this thing. And I wouldn't be surprised if you got one of the bigger ones anyway.
As far as jig head versus the Titan diver goes, I've fished both on the same night side by side, and there are times where one will outperform the other. I don't know why. It must, the action changes just ever so slightly, but it is like a slightly different presentation to a jig head. So if you're going back and forth from one or the other, you probably actually want both, because there are nights where one will outperform the other.
And
Talking about performance, these are called the Block Island big eels, right? And I know a lot of guys who do that like night bite, drifting eels thing have switched over to these just for convenience. These, the GT eels, and the hoagies. It's just easy. It's easier than fishing an eel. It doesn't wind itself in a knot.
doesn't give you that sad look. Put the hook through its face.
Opens its mouth at you. But yeah, I mean, I think those ones are pretty aptly named because they work out there.
And part of it too, why I went, because there's a lot of rubber eel options. But when I went with this one, my fishing bud, every time his rigged eel would hit the water, we were kind of like on this pile of fish in shallower water, and right when it hit the water, that like smacking noise it made, they'd hit right after that. And I felt like just the size of this one mimicked that, sort of like the thickness of the plastic mimicked it. So I think it has like a similar effect when it slaps down in the water. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah, so my next product was the Jig Pro swim jigs. I think. Do we have a few rigged up over there?
So, we might have left them on the counter.
But specifically the 5-inch, I like the white. This was a great profile match for the mullet we were seeing earlier this season. They're a pretty buoyant bait, so you can throw a heavier jig head on there, punch into the wind. Yep, got them over here.
I'll agree with Sir. Big fan of those this year.
Yeah, you can punch them into the wind and still retrieve them in shallower water without snagging up or hitting bottom, which is a big plus for me. I like the 1.5 ounce jig head. That's my favorite. And yeah, they have the BKK hooks on there, which is a huge factor for us.
They are beefy hooks.
And I think one of the appeals for guys getting in the paddle tails is the rigging channel, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
Super easy. That like with the NLBNs, people kind of get a little nervous about if they're like new to it. Is the NLBNs are easy to rig once you know how to do it, but they've taken all the guesswork out of those.
Yeah, and I do find these hold up very well.
I think it definitely helps with durability.
Yeah.
That channel, so it doesn't just rip.
Even without a zip tie or super glue, this wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, still yanking on it.
But
That would have been fun.
if it just ripped out. No, yeah, even without the zip tie, super glue, they stayed on really well. The rubber is more durable than other paddle tails. And that rigging is just so easy. It's the easiest paddle tail to rig on a jig head.
Right now they have 3, 4, and 5-inch. They're adding a 7-inch next year, which we're looking forward to.
And the only thing they were missing was that big size, and now they'll have that too.
After a disappointing LB season, I decided to switch over and do some togging.
Telic therapy.
Some togging therapy, yeah. Very cooperative fish compared to the LBs. And so I was using fish bites, the Easy Crab, and just tipping it on the jig, and then adding either a chunk of green crab or like a little stack of Asian shore crabs, just stack them up on the hook, and I really liked using it just because it bought some extra bites, especially if there was a bit of shell still left on the hook. The fish had just like cleaned out all the guts. It was still something for them to see and pick up with the scent from the fish bites. And I also was using the Mr. Krabs jigs quite a bit. I like how it stands up, and just the hook size is something I was really looking for. Just like a small gap, but still stout enough to
Yeah, those hold a Asian short crab very well.
Yeah. It's got like a real long shank. So the other day I was able to stack up like 4 or 5 of them and logo it, make some little
I
sliders.
think you posted a picture of that.
Tog sliders, yeah.
But I found, I was out with some guys 2 weeks ago or so, and I tried a couple drops, just the fish bites, and I found like I was getting a lot of sea bass. And then switched over to like the sea bass or the fish bite and crab combo, and yeah, it gives you that one extra bite that you need, because a lot of times they're like peck, and if there's nothing left after that last peck when they really go for it, then they're just gonna go away.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's just a little something there to like keep them around, you're gonna hook them.
Yeah, I didn't have, there's no sea bass like up in the bay around me. But I think next season, like off the jetties, I'm definitely gonna have like a bag above that in my like surf bag, just to like, if nothing's going on, I can put that on a little epoxy and just jig up something,
Work for fluke too.
Yeah.
Get a script on there. So my next item here, going back to tackle, is another 24/7. It's the Mully Junior, and like Eric, I fish a lot in the Upper Bay. It's where I live. Works great from the kayak and from his boat up there, and from boat as well. It's just a smaller version of his traditional Mully, which I'm sure all of you guys know. It's 4.5 inches and 1.15 ounces. It's a spook type lure walking across the surface. I've caught fish burning in it. And it's a great smaller profile when there's a lot of peanuts around, smaller bait like that. We need one up, it takes almost the place of a jumping minnow or a Uzuri small spook like that. And it's been, the 24/7 arsenal as a whole has been great, I think, for all of us. And it's just a great option to have in the store and in my bag. And when I'm fishing in smaller plugs like this, it has a permanent place. And there's a wide variety of color options. I've always just gone towards the bones. It has a little red underneath the front and a nice black ring around the eyes. Will show well. You could always take off the rear hook and put a flag on it if you like. A lot of times I'll just run it as is, and there aren't any kind of issues.
It is nice they come out of the package. You can just use them.
Yes.
The hardware is good.
Yeah, great hardware right off the rip. You don't have to be monkeying around with anything, changing split rings, changing hooks.
Yeah, so you get that jumping minnow or spook size, but you get the better hardware.
And the paint holds up very well.
How's it cast?
It's not going to punch into the wind like a surface eraser would, but give it the typical 1.5 plug flip, and there you go. They'll cast very well, and they walk across the surface great. Just slight twitches, it's going to do all the action for you. For the past years, this is new to me this year using this size. I've always used the bigger ones, so I was happy to have success with this size.
Haas, what you got for us? Yeah, what do you got for us, Haas?
This fancy collar looks like.
I got, new bed. The bed this year looks good. Next up, I just want to comment on the big surface eraser this year. John talked about the small one. This one's really fun. It's like a 6-inch, 2.5 ounce. It was cool to see them come out with, Ogie come out with a big one. Shout out to their awesome new cardboard packaging too, no plastic, which is cool. But it's just a really fun lure to fish. Watching, the fun thing with the surface eraser is if you're fishing for bass with it, they knock it out of the water just as often as they hit it, and it's just fun to see that thing go flying around. Just a fun lure.
Very versatile.
Yeah, oh yeah. And I think last year, I didn't really do it as much this year, but because I was really waiting on the Alpies to pop back up. But I even would like drop it, catch sea bass with it, just while I was like, waiting for Albie's to come back. So it does drop eventually. It's called the surface eraser.
Kind of reminds me of real quick, the old Roberts Ranger.
Oh yeah,
A little bit. Because you can burn it like that, and it'll do that dance.
one of the things not new to the shop this year, but something I used a lot more for these knot pullers, so 30-fathom knot pullers. We did a lot more offshore rigging at the shop this year, which was great because we had a fantastic offshore bite this year and a lot more people getting into it. And so we were, tying FG knots and getting people rigged up and doing hollow core splicing and stuff quite a bit this year. And just really, I knew they were good. I had used them in the past on some stuff, but like using them consistently, I really liked. And it's something I've added to my boat after the season, just as like a cool product. Oh, God, what do you think?
know how we got it here.
For anyone listening, there's a dog laying on Kobe's lap.
Not a small one.
I don't know how we got here.
Yeah, and those are also great for tying up surf leaders.
Yep.
That can get repetitive really quick, just tearing at your hands with 50 or 60 pound flora. One big thing that's helped me is just taking an old plug, putting a split ring on the front, and putting that split ring onto your swivel. And you can just grab the old plug, grab the line in one hand and pull it tight.
Yeah,
That's what I do. Same thing on the tactical angler's clip.
yeah. And these guys are cool too because they have the hole for the hook. So even if like they're magnet together, even if you just have one half, and you can kind of put the hook through and use that to pull it tight.
Especially if you have wet hands.
That's what I think we all have little cuts on our index fingers.
Oh, yeah.
Tying knots.
Permanent scarring.
Right, and throughout the season that gets pretty annoying, especially if you're switching back and forth for fly fishing, and for some reason while I'm stripping, it like always finds its way into that cut. It's like, but yeah, like these knot pullers, and they're like just well made. I think it's like they're only like $30 or something.
$35.
There's $5, and it's like a well-made product for $35 is just kind of rare these days. So yeah, I like these a lot.
And they come in blue and red, I believe.
Yeah,
It's your color matters.
it's satisfying when they go together too.
It is.
Little 30 fathoms.
Just a little ASMR.
Who doesn't love it?
That's one of those things. As long as we don't go overboard, you're probably gonna have them forever.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
$35 is worth it for those things.
The like magneting together is a lifesaver. I mean, we have like our rigging station here, and there's generally not the neatest place in the world. So the fact that they like stay together makes them way easier to find when you open the drawer.
Back to you.
Another one. This is the ultimate bait bridle. This is my first year trying bridling baits. If you fish Narragansett Bay, you probably fish pogies in the spring. If you don't, you should. And that makes it a whole lot easier. Hookup's way better, way cleaner. I found way less fish swallowed the hook, which I don't know how that correlates, but it seemed to. They seem to get it in the corner of the mouth like a circle hook is supposed to act. That seems to really, That seems to really make the circle hook do what it's supposed to do. It finds the corner of the mouth. They don't swallow it. And it just makes it easier. You don't have to wrestle bait onto a hook. Make Kobe sad when they give you that look. And although I guess that's not a whole lot nicer but it definitely helps with the hookup ratios, which is what it's all about. So I like those. Definitely going to be in my bag every year going forward.
Yeah, it's just like a easy thing. Couple sizes too.
A couple sizes. I like the biggest one for pogies, just because when you get those really big, like 16-inch pogies, I think it's the medium, or it's the large and an extra large. But whatever like the size down from the biggest one is like just too small for those really big pogies. So yeah, I just went with the biggest ones, and they can't really be too big, so that wasn't a problem.
Yeah, my next product, I went with the Lamiglass Super Surf G3. I'm fishing the 10-foot one piece. I'm very happy with it. It's got a progressive action to it, so you can still kind of do those flick casts that you look for with the modern rods, but it's got plenty of backbone, and it really doubles over on fish. It's got that gray finish on it, which will kind of start to wear away, which is kind of like the Black Van Staal look, where you get a beat up rod. It looks nice. I like it.
Me too. I like that battle scarred look.
Yeah. But overall, just been very happy with that rod.
Yeah, sort of like a modernized GSP.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter. It's like Cyril said, it's sort of like a true moderate fast, so you can throw just about anything. Yeah. It's soft enough for eels and to pencil with, but it's also fast enough to bucktail with. And my only question going into the season was if it was going to hold up to that durable reputation like a GSP has. And early on in the season, I was jogging down a rocky shoreline and slipped. Don't recommend jogging in your fishing gear down a rocky shoreline. And I slipped fast enough where everything just sort of flew out of my hands. And I just launched the rod and it clattered down the rocky shoreline. And I thought that was it. And I picked it up and it was fine. And then I fished it the rest of the season. So it's not like it got a weak point and broke a week later. Still going strong. And the guides, it's got titanium guides.
Yeah, Sea Guide titanium.
Yes, so it just adds to the lightness and the sensitivity.
Why were you jogging?
Always late.
Yeah, always. Yeah, there we go.
Late to the bite. I'll add in too, that has been my go-to rod for the latter half of this season. I picked it up after hearing their, stories about it, and it's going to be, I put my VS200 on it, the 10-foot one-piece 2 to 5, and it's just an all-arounder. It can do anything you want it to do.
Yeah, and it's great at both ends of that ounce rating. Even below it, I can cast 3/4 ounce bucktails on it fine. 1 ounce is really where it starts picking up and being sweet for me. But you can cast up to 5 ounces. I cast canal jigs on it, and it works there in a pinch too.
And you caught something kind of special, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
I hauled up a crab pot. That was fun. And hauling it onto the actual rocks was difficult, but the rod managed, and I was surprised by that. Yeah,
Good test.
Yeah.
Were there
tested my knots.
Yeah.
There was one crab in it, and I probably could have kept it. It was big.
So you didn't get skunked that night? That crab.
Let's see, detouring to some jig boat stuff.
Yeah.
There's a lot of lead slim jigs out there. Not sure how different they really all could be from each other. But the big thing for this is it's $8.95. And that is just a great price for a jig these days. This is the Mustad Moonriser jig. I was using it, I don't go tuna fishing, so I was using the small size. I think it's 90 grams for sea bass. I was getting a lot of tog on it, also a lot of sea bass. Holds up really well. But honestly, like the big thing is it's just a great price. Good quality. The hook on it's really nice. I was just really happy with it. Tough to beat the price.
Yeah. Yeah, I like basically all the Mustad stuff. Their boat bag too.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
yeah.
be the boat bag. I think we probably didn't include it because there's not one currently in stock at the shop. But that boat bag, just great. It's a great boat bag.
I kept eyeing those when they were in here.
Yeah.
No bells and whistles. You just throw your boxes in it.
That's what the duffel bag, right?
Yeah, it was like, what was it, like $50 or something?
I think it's that. Yeah, it's 30
Or
something.
35 maybe, but it was, I've been loving it.
Yeah.
You had that the other day, right, when we went out?
Yeah. So I realized I needed something like that when I went tuna fishing, and I'm not a tuna fisherman, so I didn't know any better, and I had all my tackle boxes just
You could have fooled us this season.
out.
Todd, right?
Well, I just went. I got to go up for the first time. So I had my tackle box just out on the deck, and then tuna hits the bow. Hits the deck. Like we get a tuna up, it's up on the bow, bleed it out. All the blood obviously comes back to the stern. Next thing I know, all my tackle boxes are full of blood with all my hundreds of dollars of tuna tackle. And I was like, okay, I need a good bag. And that thing really fits the bill. That thing's been awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
Sold.
Yeah. can't beat it for the price. I mean, you would buy the same bag from a couple other different brands and pay twice the price for the same quality bag. So yeah, all into that.
I borrowed a combo from the shop for most of the, or like a good chunk of the fall, when I was hoping the Albus would be there, but the bones were. It was the Orbit rubber slinger. I think it was supposed to be an 8-footer.
Yeah, this is when I think we had a rare moment where one actually broke in shipping. Doesn't happen to us a lot. If you bought rods from us, you know that they come in these massive tubes. And so that was kind of a rare thing for us. But yeah, we had Ted throw a new tip on it. I think still feels great.
Yeah, oh yeah, great rod. And I was also using it with a Penn Authority 4500 high speed, and was just using that combo for pretty much all of hardtail season. And it was great rod, great feel. The reel stood up to like all the real fast retrieve as well.
I fished with that one a little bit, I think last year, and it's fast.
Yeah,
Like surprisingly fast.
yeah.
Even though you know it's a high speed,
How many
you're like,
inches per turn is it?
44, I think.
Oh, this fast.
Yeah.
It's like a pipped out slider, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like a handful of times where, like with the mag minnows, I would have to like slow down just to keep it to like,
Otherwise, you're
Skipping it on the surface.
yeah.
which definitely benefits you when you want to be doing that. Don't have to pinwheel in yourself.
But yeah, I do like that. I do like a high speed retrieve, not necessarily for the retrieve itself, because I think you can sometimes reel lures too fast because then they just lose all their action. But I like it for like if you just cast and then a pod pops up over there, you can burn that back in and just cast right back in.
It's never happened to anybody, right?
All right. Back to more gear. This was new to me and new to the shop this year. I know we already had another video about it, but I have to talk about it. It was the new Sims Splash Cast jacket. The big thing for me, like I don't like stuff on my head. I don't like things tight around my neck. And this has the 3/4 zip in the front, which you can keep open if you like, and it still has the neck gaiter, which you can shut, to keep water out from spilling down your shirts if you're wearing your shirts. I just wear it over a wetsuit. It's great for the blocking the wind, and it adds that little layer of warmth. Has the kangaroo pocket in the front with the true zip, which is fully waterproof. It's almost like a Ziploc bag. That's the easiest way to explain it. And I've had my phone in it, with no special case on my phone, and I'm underwater swimming around, and I open it up, and it's fully dry. Sleeves just have your standard. It's like a neoprene hem on the end, with a Velcro, can just cinch it up. There's nothing underneath it, no latex cuffs, anything like that. And I'm not very nice to my gear. I don't usually wash a lot of my stuff. I fall a lot, and it's held up very well to the salt and me, tripping and running down the rocks and everything like that. And the biggest change I liked the most was the new color. The previous model of this was very bright blue, which I didn't care for too much, and they went with a slate, like a kind of a two-tone gray, darker gray up on the shoulders and around the back, and then a little strip of orange down the sleeves, which can help you be seen if you're out there if you need to be. And it's been my go-to jacket for the last half of the season or so since we got them in. And I highly recommend it to anybody who needs a waterproof jacket. Really, it's a pullover, with that 3/4 zip. So keep that in mind. But I'll wear it just in the yard if I'm doing, yard work and it's raining out. It's light.
Super lightweight.
I've got one of the blue ones, and I wore mine on the boat.
Yeah, it's a good boat jacket too. Because if you want to put anything in that pocket, and it fits the fitment. I'm about 6 foot and about 190 pounds. The medium fits me. It does run a little bit big, I think, and it fits. I could put a sweatshirt underneath it and still be comfortable.
Let's see. This one, this was a recommendation this year. The Tsunami Split Tail. It's like a little kind of built-in soft plastic, little fork tail, slightly weighted. And these came as a recommendation from Captain Ray Jarvis, Saltwater Edge Sport Fishing, who was we're out with him one day, and he's like, "Hey, like, I got this knot bait solution." And I think we all know, like, when they're being picky, when there's this, whether it's like crab larva or whatever, you know, tiny little snot bait that they're feeding on, they're just impossible to catch. And he was like, "You got to try these. You got to try these." So we brought him in, and he was not kidding. And they just caught. There was one day I was out, and it was like they wouldn't touch anything else, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I got these." Like, I remember him recommending them, and it was like the first cast, they just went right for it. I'm not sure why versus some of the other like flukes and stuff, like Zoom flukes and stuff, but yeah, the color, I like the one's got like a little pale pink on it, but it just kind of crushed for me the second half of the season after he recommended that.
You said they're weighted.
Yeah, a little bit of weight.
bit of weight.
Yeah, that's it.
You can cast them decent.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't say how much they weigh, but there is like a little weight on the inside. You can't change the hooks out, which is kind of a bummer. It's like one of the ones that's molded in, but they're also cheap. Buy a couple packs, and when they're not hitting anything else, give them a try.
You get 6 in a pack, so.
Right? Yeah. And again, you know, it's pretty fun to fish when they're just, you know, when you're frustrated, when they're not hitting anything else, and you get the solution. Anyone else try these this year? Cyril, I think.
Yeah,
right?
I've been using them for schoolies lately.
Yeah.
I haven't had the chance to test them out on the hardtails, but they work great with just a slow retrieve and then 3 little twitches and kind of hops back and forth. When it goes on its side, it really reflects like a bait fish. It's got that holographic stuff in there.
Yeah.
That kind of contributes to the fish bite. Yeah.
Somebody going to those things, somebody, I forget who was telling me, but was using it under a, like one of those Larry Lutz casting eggs. Like you would with a little bucktail on the surf. And I guess it works really well with that too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. It's just a sleek, straight tail vibe.
Larry's Lures.
Is it Lures, not Lutz?
He's Larry's Lures.
Larry's Lures. That makes sense. I thought there was a T.
L-U-R-Z, yeah.
That's okay. Sorry, Larry. My next one, like I said, I'm not a big tuna fisherman, but this year I got to get out a handful of times, which is awesome. And the pink bronze was just the ticket from the first bite to the last. They were hitting jigs pretty good in the middle, but definitely, I think it was like mid-June, maybe late June when the bite first started to pick up, and it was just a Ron's bite. And then it sort of ended that way too, it seemed. Well, I mean, it's probably still going on a little bit for the guys that are still getting out, but the wind just makes it tough. So yeah, pink Ron's, stick it in the rod holder, hold it, and just barely move it if you want to, but it does everything on its own, which is awesome. Like when you want to break from gripping metal jigs up 160 feet, you just stick one of those in your rod holder, you're still fishing, and they catch fish.
We had kind of a fun moment, Tyler and I, this year when one of those, we were filming a video with Ray Jarvis, and he was talking about dead sticking, and in the background of the video, the rod we had dead sticking started getting it, and it was like such a funny little moment. He's like, "That really just happened?" Like,
it's crazy how well it works.
yeah, and it seems like the more like the really experienced guys almost always run a dead, like it's like the further they get to a spot, they send out the dead stick and then they'll start jigging, just because I think their experience has shown them that that's just as likely to get hit as like jigging. And yeah, I mean, we sold a lot of the pink this year.
The pinks was,
Yeah, the 5 ounce, I think it was the 4 and 5 ounce pinks were just the ones.
yep.
Definitely the most popular.
Yeah.
Sir, what else you got for us?
Well, we're through which tribe? Yeah, we're through my 3. We'll go back to
You can ski
the K-tail.
K-tail.
Yeah, 7-incher.
Yeah.
Put that on a magic tail jig head, and that was killer for me. Kind of similar to what John was saying, there were a few times that I just didn't get a bite on anything else at my bag, and I put that on and swam it through, and all of a sudden you're catching fish. It's got a different action than the paddle tail, it's more subtle, and I've been very impressed with it.
Yeah, I fished both sizes in the spring up in the bay, and that was pretty good when we had bunker. Like, we had kind of a short bunker window this year. Yeah, disappointingly short bunker window, I should say. But when they were around, that lure worked. That 7-inch, nice big profile.
Yep.
I kind of like it slow too. Like it's just like a real slow roll with that bigger one.
How were you fishing them? Was it the swim bait hook or the jig head?
I was using no jig head. I think it was on the big ones, like a 10-0.
10-0,
Tight rider.
Yep.
And then I was using that. They have like that upgraded screw lock. It was actually I got them before we had them in the shop here, and that seemed to make a difference.
If anyone's picking up the story, it's Haas the dog. It's not one of us is not asleep.
Kobe nodded off over there. Don't listen to him. Kobe's got a fun one over there, looks like.
I've got two fly products. A quick one first. The Umpqua X Series jig hooks, the non-heavy ones. So there's the XS506 and then the XS506H for heavy. So the non-heavy ones are easier to keel and still a good gauge wire. If you are messing around with tying patterns, hook point up, just the catch and release is way easier. You usually get them right in the top of the mouth like you would a bucktail if you were spin fishing. I keel, unless I'm tying like a clouser style, you can keel it with the medium or large size of the channel lead. Super easy. You just tie it to the bottom of the shank, and that keels most of my patterns just fine. And then in the fly pattern world, the 8-inch jerk changer from Blaine Chocolate, he just has one of those good fishy minds, comes up with really good patterns. He's got his own sort of solo company now. The quality's really good on all of them. They come in nice non-plastic packaging. He's really taking care of the little things. And then the jerk changer itself is my favorite fly of his currently in saltwater. It's just got that really erratic motion, similar to a sluggo, like a 9-inch sluggo. They sort of got that erratic glide out motion. This fly has that same motion, which you don't get on a lot of flies. It's also got a pretty big profile. There's a 4-inch, a 5, a 6, and an 8, I believe. The 8 you can cast.
Some of them, I think, double hook too.
Yeah, some of them
More
have,
like a musky thing than
double hook. Yeah, more of a musky thing probably. I was fine with just the single. You can cast the 8-inch on a 10 weight. The synthetic brush he uses sheds water really well on one false cast, or just to flick the rod, and then you can cast it again. I used all the different sizes, depending what was around peanut bunker. That 5-inch or 4-inch jerk changer is really, really good. It's a great pattern for peanuts or sea herring or small bait fish. And then the big one, big bunker, big bait. But just that erratic motion is so effective for bass. It just gets them to eat when a lot of other stuff won't.
Yeah. And honestly, not too bad to cast.
Yeah, not too bad is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
The 8-inch on the 10 weight, you are noticing you're casting it.
It's nice because once you get that first lift is kind of hard, but it dries off. Like one back cast, because it's all synthetic, it doesn't like hold any water.
Yeah.
That first back cast is a bit of a weight, and then after that, it's like, oh, this isn't terrible.
Yeah,
and not gonna cast it that far.
Yeah.
You're fishing that in situations where you're like, there's fish close to you.
You're targeting specific fish.
Good boat lure.
Great bait and switch fly.
Yep.
And then the 6-inch is probably the most user-friendly for everyone in general.
Well, that little finesse work. The little 4-inch finesse with the tail on it.
So he's got
Finesse changer.
another pattern that's more of a freshwater swim bait style, you said.
Right. Yeah.
And that's more of a realistic minnow profile with a bunch of joints, and it's got that swim bait wiggle to it.
Yeah.
That's a good hardtail fly. I know Devin used to.
Oh, he's a little
Devin
bit.
got some nice
Yeah.
nice-
I think he even did it on a really, really little.
Yep. It's like 2-inch or something.
Yeah.
1/2 inch.
Yep.
That seems like it'd be hard to tie with like all the little segments.
Oh, I buy that one.
That's one that you buy.
Yeah.
This is that's 100% a fly.
Eye fly.
Yeah. Those in size 24 amps. Those are ones you buy. Yeah, I mean, the real chocolate stuff is great. We got his brushes now.
We just got the brushes in, yep. So you can tie the brushes we just got are for the, I don't know if they use, this one actually might use that brush too. Not sure. But the hybrid changer, we got all those brushes in at least.
Yeah. That does make tying the game changer significantly easier.
Yes. Less trimming too, get the different sizes.
Yeah, fun stuff.
John, what else you got for us?
I don't have it in front of me, but building off the fly theme, I started using, I don't remember which brand it is, you guys can chime in, but the Coastal Quick Shooter. Fly line.
Rio Coastal Quick Shooter XP.
Yeah,
Love
yeah.
that line.
I started using that this season, whereas in seasons past I was just using like a pretty standard striper intermediate line. But I just found that I think it was from Eric's recommendation, I picked it up. And it's just a really easy to cast line.
Yeah.
It's got an aggressive shooting head.
Yeah, way less back casting.
Yeah.
I just feel like, again, like someone said, I think it was you said earlier, that like when they pop up somewhere else, it's nice to be able to like quickly do that. Like you were saying about the high speed. It's kind of like that same theory where like, okay, I don't need to back cast this a bunch to shoot it. It's like 1, 2, and you're back out there, which is nice.
From the kayak too, that's big. Makes a big difference.
Yep.
It's more false casts, the more problems.
Yeah.
Another thing I used too, I don't have it in front of me either, were the they're not a new product, but kind of new to me. I really put a lot of time with them this year, were the super snacks.
Yeah.
Because this is, as everybody from the surf is I'm sure aware, this year is a year for plastics. And the super snacks are a great option because they're relatively fat, about 3/4 of the way down, and have that whip tail. And you can fish them with jig heads or on a Titan diver like Kobe had, or a Titan Rider, which is the weightless version. They're very versatile, come in a handful of colors, and you know, if you don't want to hurt those cute eels, like Kobe said, you can. It's another option, as well as the Joe Bags eels, and they can be fished in a variety of ways, whether you're slow sweeping it or lifting it, or even burning it in pretty quickly.
Yeah, that whiptail has a surprisingly
does.
nice swimming action.
It does. And they hold up, as you know, for Albie snacks, they hold up well. You know, I've caught multiple fish on one without it being disintegrating.
Yep.
You definitely have a.
Whatever his like plastic blend is, he's doing it right.
And I do the super glue and zip tie just for added security if I am running on a jig head. But and the nice thing I will say with the Titan Riders and the divers, they have that little plastic stop on the bottom where you put the bait on top of that and almost cinch it up to the hook, and keep it. That's if you're running the offset with the screw. You know,
Yeah, it's almost like I find I don't use that stopper at first, but after like maybe a couple fish,
it starts to get pulled out a little bit,
like stretched out, and then you put that stopper up, and it keeps fishing weedless.
very versatile.
Yeah.
And they're fairly hefty themselves. So
Yeah, they cast pretty well.
They do.
Yeah.
If you're running them without a jig head, they'll get where you need to put it.
Did have one tuna day where I threw one of the tuna NLBN jig heads on one of those, like cut it back a little bit to match up the size. Did not get a hit, but it looked great. That's all that matters. And I think doing that for bass, if you're looking for like a little more weight or something, would probably work pretty well too. I didn't try that for bass, but yeah, just if you cut back the super snack a little bit, it matches up to the NLBN jig head really well.
Yeah. Save that real flat back, so you want to get the sap, get up there. Yeah, very, very lucrative for me this year.
My last thing, I fished the jigging world was new to the shop this year. And I think new to a lot of us here. I know Tyler had fished one in previous seasons. I'm not sure I hadn't. I'm not sure if any of you guys did, but I fished the Night Ranger a lot. And that was just a really cool rod. I was fishing the 2 to 6. But even when I was like out on the boat by myself and I didn't want a bunch of rods, I was throwing 1-outs with it, and it worked fine. But I've been togging with it lately, togging from shore with it, togging from the boat with it. I have the spinning one, and it's just a fun rod. It is like, I don't know, I'd say one of their more expensive inshore rods. Yeah, but even then it's like $250, something like that. And it's just a cool rod.
That's the rod Daphne was
You
used
got
for
the, is that the one?
I'm pretty sure it was the night range.
That was crazy.
Local legend Daphne, local town legend Daphne, cut a 17 and a half pounder on it.
That was just.
Absolute pig.
Look her up. Was it Fisherman Forrester? We'll put a link.
Yeah.
Put a link in the show notes because everyone should go look at that talk. It's a great talk.
Cereals, we both have the 2 to 6 Nexus.
The Nexus, yeah, the 2.0, yeah.
Nexus 2.0.
So I have a travel rod now. That travel rod is cool. Like you put it in someone's hand and they're like, don't think it's a 3-piece rod.
Right.
Chicken World's just doing some cool stuff.
Yeah, they got really good rod ranges, so you could do a ton with just one rod.
I'm a sucker for cork too, and I like that the Night Ranger has cork on it. I think it's just kind of looks classic.
Yeah, that old school cork look.
Yeah.
And like you said, Eric, that will throw under that range.
Yeah, because
2 to
it's
6
a fairly soft rod.
Yeah.
Which is like it's got like it's kind of like slow, fast. And so it does load up with a lighter lure. You're not going to cast it super far, but it does load up fine. Something like a surface eraser or an epoxy jig or something will still cast great. But jigging with it has just been great this fall. Jigging world. I wonder if that's why. Who else has something? We wrap this up? I think we got to open the shop here in a minute. We got our classic 11 o'clock shop opening.
Crack of 11.
Yeah, the crack of 11. Anyone else have anything else they want to throw in last minute?
Real quick, since we were talking about Jigging World rods, the luminous popping rod for $150.
Yeah, awesome. I did that. I did fish the luminous slope or the luminous high pitch too for tuna, and I put a 10K twin power on it, and that was fun.
Yeah.
That was great, like wreck tuna rod. All the luminous line here. I think the hardest part about it was keeping it in stock all season. People just kind of flocked to that one.
Been hot item for us.
Yeah.
The whole Jigging World line.
Yeah. And the Onyx, the Onyx deserves mention as like a $99 rod. People are just like shocked when they pick it up and see the price tag. I haven't fished. Any of you guys fished with that one yet?
No, I spoke to a customer though that did, and he raved about it.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I've heard from people, it doesn't feel like a $100 rod.
You're getting a lot more than $100 worth of that rod.
Well, cool. Thank you for listening along as we rambled our way through our first kind of group podcast here.
We put Haas to sleep.
Yeah, it was great, easy listening music for your nighttime endeavors. But yeah, thanks for listening along. Thanks for listening to the Saltwater Edge podcast. Peter will be back on the regular scheduled podcast programming soon. We thought we'd just switch it up. If you guys like this format, let us know, and we'll do some more. We'll do some more conversations. We'll bring in some more people, do some more group talks, and keep rambling on about stuff. Thanks for all the staff for being here, and we're going to go open the shop.